Hello, and welcome to Shedding the Bitch Radio, where you can discuss, debate, and get advice on how to discover and shed the bitches of fear, insecurity, self-doubt, and negative mindsets so you can realize your dreams and life purpose and create and accelerate the riches you want in life. Join us here live every Tuesday at noon Eastern and dialogue with us at 818-572-2910. You can also chat with us at Blog Talk Radio /SheddingTheBitch. Or share your stories on our website at sheddingthebitch.com. Whatever the bitch is that's holding you back from living your life to the fullest, it's not worth giving up the riches in life that you deserve. So call in now and let Bernadette Boas know what's holding you back. 818-572-2910.
Good day, everyone. How are you? I am so excited to be here. You know why? It is Tuesday. It is Shedding the Bitch Radio, and it is Christmas week, and I'm so excited. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope for those of you that will be celebrating, I hope you're kind of winding down, but not stopping just yet, not unless you have a very intentional, purposeful, set of vacation days or just rest time or whatever the case might be. But for those of you who are still wanting and all focused and energized around finishing in the year out strong, keep it going. It'll make your holiday season and the new year so much richer, so much more richer. And there's a lot of business to be had still. So keep the pedal to the metal. Yes, keep the pedal to the metal. I am so excited to be here. Of course, I'm Bernadette Boas, and we are going to be talking about how you absolutely could be finding the silver lining in 2020 and really finding, kind of really making sure that you're also focused on finding all the wonderful things that you've also experienced this past year, even in the slightest of ways, and maybe it wasn't a big bang of any kind. So we're going to be talking about finding the silver lining. But before we do, I want to thank our new listeners and our viewers. We are coming live streaming to Shedding the Bitch Facebook page, as well as our Shift to Riches with Bernadette Facebook page. I just thought I would try that cross-posting and allow our Shift to Riches community also to take part. Now, I am paying attention to those pages, so if you were to have any questions, comments, I'm multitasking, and I'm by myself today. So Deborah's not with me, neither is Lydia or Giselle. But I am paying attention to all of those pages. Should you have any questions, comments that you want to jump in and participate in, all right? So don't hesitate to do that. As well, we are, broadcasting on Blog Talk Radio live at noon Eastern Time right here. And it'll also then be streaming to iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and anywhere you might get your podcast. So be sure to also take a listen there. Hey, Melanie, how are you? I just noticed you on our live. Now, so our new listeners, thank you so much for finding us in any of those places. Thank you for hanging with us week after week. And if you have any friends or colleagues that you'd like to invite into the show as well, please have them go to Blog Talk Radio, find Shedding the Bitch Radio there, and they can follow us as well as on YouTube or iTunes. You can also subscribe and follow us there as well. Be sure to also be liking, commenting, rating us, as that helps to get our program in front of more eyes and ears. And if you do have any comments as far as what topics we could be discussing or how we could be improving and making the show really hit with you, then don't even hesitate to provide that, because we're always looking for ways that we could be growing and building and improving, because this is all about you. And so we'd love to hear your comments. As well as our ongoing listeners and followers, we absolutely love and adore you, because you are helping us get in front of more people. And you're commenting and sharing across our platforms, whether it be our Shedding the Bitch Facebook page, our Shedding the Bitch Twitter page, out on YouTube, and iTunes and so forth and so on. So we are so grateful to you and really appreciate how you're helping us build our community. All right. Now, as I will also want to mention is this episode is being brought to you by North Georgia Tax Solutions. Debbie Snelling and her team provide full-service financial and tax services to small to corporate-sized companies all around the country, not just North Georgia, all around the country. So be sure to check her out at ngtaxsolutions.com and tell her I said hi and that I sent you. And I'd love for you to reach out to her. She's fabulous, and she really does a bang-up job for all of her customers, all right, big and small, as well as anywhere within the United States. So, be sure to check them out as well, ngtaxsolutions.com. All right, so today I wanted to talk to you about finding the silver lining out of this past year. Next week, we're going to be talking about assessing for your success in 2020. And that will more so have to do with really how do you do a business assessment and how do you leverage all that information that you're gathering and garnering from that assessment. How do you use it going into the new year? How do you let things go that aren't relevant anymore? And, how just taking some time to reflect will really set you up for great success in the coming days, weeks, and months. So we'll talk about that next week at noon Eastern time as we welcome in the new year, because it is the last Tuesday of not only the month, but the year. And then, of course, the following Tuesday, which would be the first Tuesday of January and the new year, we have our Ask Me Anything episode, which is basically you're sharing your questions, stories, and challenges out on our Facebook page, Shedding the Bitch, Twitter. You're sending them to me directly, especially through LinkedIn. And then at the same time, I get some DMs from you as well on Facebook. With your questions, stories, or challenges, I respond to them very quickly, but I'll kind of even say, within 24 hours. But typically I respond very, very quickly and provide you those tips and advice and sometimes tough love. But at the same time, I gather those up and I bring them to the program on the first Tuesday of each month, which gives you an opportunity as well at noon Eastern time to jump on and join me and even kind of elaborate on whatever that question, story, or challenge was, and we can have a great dialogue right here on the program. Because oftentimes what you are dealing with is what someone else is dealing with as well. And therefore, you sharing your question, story, or challenge and my advice and tips would benefit not only you but other people. So it's a great opportunity to kind of give back while at the same time you're receiving support and guidance and coaching. All right. So that's the first Tuesday of every month. And whether you post it on, in this instance, it'll be January 5th, or you do it on, January 30th, you're still going to get feedback from me, and then we'll be able to bring them right here into the program. All right. And if you don't want me to, then you just share that. Just share that, the information is just for you. And your ears and or eyes only, and I totally respect that. All right, we're gearing up for a different look with in 2021, so I'll be sharing more of that with you as we move forward as well. But if you ever have any tips or advice for us as far as guests and topics that you would like to learn about, that's another thing that you could be sharing with me directly as a DM on Facebook. You could send it to me at Bernadette Boas at qualifierinc.com, or you can, as many of you do, reach out on LinkedIn. All right? Okay, so I know, many of you, because I'm talking to you every day, many of you just kind of want to wipe 2020 off the map. Just kind of go, all right, I'm done with it. Even on December, 22nd? You just want to kind of go, I'm done, I'm moving on. And yet at the same time, what many of you are missing is that amongst all of the chaos and craziness and maybe, hardship, maybe depression, maybe isolation, maybe sadness, frustration, anxiety, Even somewhere in between all of that, you may have been experiencing changes or growth or awareness within yourself and within your universe that are great lessons and great tidbits of knowledge and experience and even expertise. And I'll get to that in a minute, but that you could be not only appreciating right now and what we always talk about in honoring your riches, but at the same time, they're going to be great sources of your new being. Because any of that change, any of that knowledge, any of that experience, that expertise, even those trying situations have added to your growth. Even though you might want to be like, I don't care. I just want to forget about them. You don't. You don't want to. I'm serious. You don't want to, and I'm here to kind of influence you to not just let them go, not just kind of, want to sweep them under the rug or throw them out in the trash or whatever you want to do. You really do want to sit back and appreciate them and take from them, as opposed to this whole year taking from you, and that's what you're feeling, that this year just took so much from you. Take from it. Lose the power, give up the power that you're turning over to this past year of crap that you might be feeling, and, kind of say, you know what, I'm going to turn this, on its head, and I'm actually going to take from it, which actually loses the power of that drab, of that junk, of that just complete maybe ugliness that you might have been feeling throughout the months. And it allows you to go, you know what? No. I actually did this, and this, and this, and this, even though I might not have paid attention to it right away or until Bernadette suggested that I focus on it during her program. And that's what I really, really want to kind of, have you really consider for yourself, okay? And I thought the best way to help you understand how to do that and maybe how to process that is that, I'm just going to jump over here for a second, is that I'll share my story. I'll share, kind of how my year rolled out and what I've taken away from all of the craziness of it. And sadly, it wasn't even just the C word or the P word, however you term it. We don't use it here. We don't use it here because I have never wanted my clients, my prospects, my friends, my family members to kind of wallow in something. And and the more we talk about something, the more energy we're giving it. Remember, what you focus on expands. So if we're sitting around all the time, constantly, talking about the C and the P and, just all the crap, well, what's going to happen is all of a sudden that's going to seep within us. That's going to seep within you. And all of a sudden you're just going to be always like, oh, gosh, I just don't want to deal with this. I just don't want to, move forward through it. I just want to kind of throw up my hands and let it go. That is not working at all for you. And it's not giving you that opportunity to really prove to yourself just how strong, how empowered, how courageous, and how bold you can be even in the most trying of times, okay? So, obviously that's all in the past, since February, March, it's all gone. And if that was your state of being, that's just the way it is, all right? But I'd love to influence you today to kind of make a decision right now as you're listening to this or watching it or you're even doing it on replay to kind of say, you know what, she has a good point. I need to I'm not doing it myself any good wallowing in this stuff, using it, and I had a conversation with a client about this the other day, using it as an excuse or a crutch of why things aren't going the way they want it to go or you want it to go. So everybody's leaning on, oh, well, it's the C word. Oh, it's, due to the P and dude, even, and P wasn't even politics, but I guess I could add that because we certainly had that year as well, mixed in with all this other stuff. But at the same time, I would rather you use it as energy and fuel for going forward as opposed to having it weigh on you. Even if you think you're protecting yourself or you think you're letting yourself off the hook because you're using it as a crutch or an excuse, I'm here to tell you that you're not. You just, guess what, kind of wasted a lot of time, whether that be a minute, a day, a week, a month, or the last 9 months. And if you're not where you want to be, if you didn't accomplish those goals that you set out at the beginning of the year, if, it was a struggle and a challenge, then, all you can say is, okay, so what was my role and what was my part in all of that? Like, how did I contribute to where I am today, which is not much different to where I was, in February, March, April, or May, or June. And, is this really what I want? Or do I need to change things up and figure out how I can kind of move on from it and move forward? Because lastly, and then I'll get into kind of my examples of finding your silver lining, but because this is going to go on for a while. I got to give you some truth. I got to give you some tough love here. This is going to go on for a while. We're not done. It's beautiful, and talk about a silver lining blessing that that we have a vaccine out there. But many of us are not going to see it for quite a while. And even if we see it, we still have a form of PTSD that we're all going to need to deal with. Not all of us, and I do want to make sure that I don't throw everyone into the same bucket. But there will be some, and many, that will be dealing with a form of PTSD as a result of all this. Forget about just being a germaphobe. But even just the idea that, to get close to somebody, we lost some of that. And I'm praying. I know I'll get it back. I mean, you put out your arms, to give me a hug when, they deem it safe to do so. I'm going to be all over you. I'm going to be slobbering. I'm going to be crying. I'm going to be all over you. But we still have, time, days, weeks, months to get through all of this. So you don't want to give up days, weeks, and months. You don't have days, weeks, and months when you think that this is one life you have to live, and it goes really, really fast. I mean, think about it. I'm just shocked that it's December 22nd. Considering, the clock did seem, obviously it didn't, but did seem to stand still for a bit because of the isolation, because of, the inability to get out and kind of live a normal life. It did seem to slow down, but even as it seemed to have slowed down, we're still at December 22nd. So 9 months has passed since all of this hell broke loose. And all I'm, really suggesting is don't waste another 9 months. Don't waste another day, another week, or another month. So let's really kind of make a commitment to ourselves that as of, right now, we are going to say, okay, so I'm done with, the last 9 months, and I'm hitting that reset button, and I'm making some changes. So not only am I going to really focus on finding the silver lining of the last 9 months, I'm going to use all of that and create gold linings going forward, and turning my silver linings into gold findings, because I am not going to let another, minute, day, week, or month pass in the state that I might have been in the last 9 months. All right, make that commitment to yourself. But I did want to kind of share with you my own kind of ups and downs and experience this past year as a way to demonstrate how you could be finding the silver lining in probably things that you're not even taking time to think about. And for those that are, yay. And I'd love to hear what those are for you. I absolutely would love to hear what those are for you. Okay, so let's get back in time, shall we? But back in February, before we started hearing about it in February, things didn't explode until March. But back in February, I'd already started kind of taking my business online. I've been online for many years, actually, but I was doing what now is exploded out there, which is these 5-day challenges, 3-day challenges, webinars, using Zoom, using, everything that is now kind of a staple. I started using them back in February. So when all hell broke loose in March, and the next thing you know, pivot became the term of the day, I had already done that. So when I look back, and I've been doing this now for several months, but as I look back, I was blessed. My silver lining started filling up when I realized that I didn't have the adjustment many of you did. I certainly didn't have the adjustment to remote working because of the fact that I've been working out of my home, for 25, 30 years. At times in corporate, I was going back and forth, but predominantly my home base has been out of my house. So that I didn't even have an adjustment to. So I felt very blessed. And at the same time, because I started in February, really also amping up my, and consider, I want you to be considering all of these examples for yourself, okay? So then in February, as I was not even considering, but working on putting my business online, I started buying up, a new microphone, a new, set of lights. I went out, even from a social perspective, I recognized very quickly when my gym closed that I was going to continue wanting to play pickleball safely, singles, and I would continue wanting to play pickleball. So I even went and ordered a net online. And so, I kind of had some foresight for myself. That was it. I did, it's not like I'm a miracle worker, of what's happening in the world. And so I felt very blessed that when even April started rolling in, I already had my March launch, and that was, kind of very successful. And I believe it was because of the fact that I was already kind of in the groove, as you might want to say. And so I felt very fortunate about that. Another blessing I had to take consideration of is now when I started my launch in May, between March and May, everyone was now at home. And they were looking for support and guidance, and they were looking for the type of information and the type of teachings and the type of coaching and service and support I was providing. So I had to really, kind of say to myself, well, I can't be in the dumps. I can't be thinking desperation or lack or fear or insecurity or doubt, because there's this opportunity to help many, many, many people who really need it out there. So I kind of put all the negative stuff. That's why I don't use the word C and P. I kind of put all of that aside and kind of threw it away, because I wanted really to ensure that I was finding those opportunities and those possibilities that were out there, even in the worst and worst of situations. Because many of you know, I have a very smart audience of viewers and listeners. Many of you know that when there is real hardship in the world, also these silver linings. There are also these opportunities and possibilities. And, call it, you think like and feel like, that glass is half full, or you might feel that it's half empty. Whichever way, if you are thinking that it's half full, then you're not falling prey to all the negativity. You're looking for those possibilities and opportunities. And I felt extremely blessed as a result of that, as we kind of were progressing through this. And I also had told my clients and prospects, and even in my online teachings, that going back as far as I can remember in my career, let alone when I went out on my own, in 2008, when the Great Recession, where everyone else was running scared and kind of throwing their hands up and giving up, I actually because I went out on my own in 2008, I actually built a full docket of coaching clients and actually consulting clients, because I would not allow others to focus on all the blah. I wanted them focused on the yay, I could buy up, and business owners out there and entrepreneurs out there and corporate professionals out there. This is for you right here is, the resources to hire people were very inexpensive because people were losing their jobs. They needed jobs. So it was, it was not, well, it was actually easy, but it was ripe an opportunity for those that really considered, okay, I'm going to make some investments here. I'm going to invest in my business. I'm going to invest in myself. So they want, so people, including my clients, made sure they were going out and they were, buying up the employees and the resources that they wanted because they were inexpensive. They were buying up the products and the services, just like I did with the, technology equipment. They were buying up, whether it was 2008 or this year, they were buying up equipment, products, and even services. I mean, I took advantage of, I said to myself, okay, so I have this time and I have monies to invest. What services do I really want to ensure I put into place over the, coming weeks and months because I can get it inexpensively. So, people, clients back in 2008 and this year, they were also finding their silver lining bulging because they were really seeing that they could go out, get even real estate, whether that's lease or buy. So I have some clients in manufacturing. I have some clients that are working out of their home and or an office, and yet now they wanted to even find an office that was kind of isolated, maybe one or two offices that wouldn't put them in a position of jeopardizing anybody's health and safety. So there was just tremendous amount of opportunities. And as I was doing it for myself, I was ensuring my clients, whether, like I said, back in 2008 or this past year, were also taking advantage of those opportunities. So if you're a business owner or even a corporate professional, there was just tremendous amount of opportunities there. Corporate had it a little bit tougher, I have to acknowledge that, because all of a sudden many business owners work out of their home unless they are, kind of in an office or a manufacturer plant or whatnot. Many corporate people, were having to lose kind of working in an office and being sent home, not really accustomed to it. At the same time, they also found, as their employers have, that they can create a blend. I'll call it a blend, not a balance, of working from home versus in an office and, making that productive if they were to put in the kind of the structure and the environment and the systems and the processes that allowed them to kind of work as effectively as possible. Now, I do not have kids. I do not have even a significant other that I have to worry about. All I have is a four-legged little dog, and sometimes, like the snoring behind me, are two big dogs that are here for the day. So I certainly do not have the situations that families do. And so I do not want to come off as if I'm dismissing that it's easy for all of a sudden everyone's home. The kids are home, the significant other's home, you're home, and now you have to kind of figure that all out. The difference I will stress, though, and it's what kept me and a lot of coaches or a lot of consultants and experts, trainers, very busy the last 9 months, is that there were those individuals who stepped aside and said, okay, this is not working. I can't figure it out on my own, so I'm going to go and find someone. Now, that's a silver lining for you. Yes, you might look at it as an expense. I'd ask you to look at it as an investment. But for those that did look at it as, oh, you know what, I need to find some support. I need to find some help. I even need to find an organizer to get online with me. Let me show them, my environment and help me, because I have a client of mine does this, and I'll help them get organized. I'll help them get structured. I'll help them find the technologies and the tools that they need. So silver linings in everything. Now, as I moved on in the year, if many of you might remember this, so my March launch, because that was my main focus this past year, was beyond my clients, whether individual or group. My main kind of marketing work was my launches that I do about every 5 or 6 weeks. You might have participated at Goals to Riches Challenge. So March went off without a bang, and it went off very well. Yet at the same time, people were just getting into the house. May, woohoo, sweet. That really gave people an opportunity to go, okay, I need some support, especially around goals, especially around structure and productivity and mindset. And that's what our Goals to Riches Challenge is focused on. So by May, I was also kind of now in the groove and, kind of all set up and situated and whatnot. But is the big one. But in July, I think it was late June, maybe July, as I was going to be going into my July event, I lost electricity in my house for about 10 days in the heat of Atlanta. Now, many of you who might be regular listeners or viewers, I'll make this very quick. Basically, a big-ass tree limb broke off of a tree sitting above my house, fell on, fortunately not onto my house, but fell onto the side of my house and wiped out my electrical box. And so it took out all the electricity. And fortunately, it took only my electricity. It didn't take my neighbors or anybody else's, but it just wiped out my whole electrical system. And thinking that this was just a matter of calling Georgia Power and having them come out and hook it up, no. This was my entire electrical, system had to be replaced. Silver linings. Okay, silver linings. I got a brand new electrical system in a 1941 house. It had been updated since then, but, so silver lining, right? Fortunately, silver lining. I had insurance. So I didn't have to put it out of pocket. Not such a silver lining is I lost a 3-month renter. So I rent my main house. I live in my guest house. I've mentioned that before to many of you. And I do that for a number of reasons, one of which it allows me to write and not worry about income generation at times when I don't want to, because I want to be writing. And so that, here I was going to be getting hit with a 3-month, lack of rent, lack of income. Not only that, but even though I also lost that, when I got the electric up 10 days later, I also lost a number of possible renters due to the C word. And because people weren't traveling any longer and or taking the risk and so forth and so on. So now, silver lining of me sitting, sweating, even sweating during my live event in July that I was doing. But here I'm without electricity. So you say, how did she get to how was she able to handle going live when she has no electricity? Silver lining. And that is, I learned the kindness of not strangers, but the kindness of neighbors. And so one of my neighbors had like 100-foot power cord and was willing to use one of his outside outlets to allow me to at least have a fan and one light, my ring light, and have a light. My ring light. The other silver lining was I just, simply, I called my insurance. I was like, what can I do? I don't necessarily want to go into a hotel. And, what can I do? So they also, suggested, well, we'll get a hotspot through your Wi-Fi service and, it'll be covered because you have no electricity. So I was able to get a personal hotspot, just paid, I don't know, a bunch of money extra. And therefore I used that during the 10 days I was down without electricity in order to continue working. Now, not such a silver lining it was, I was sweating while I was live, okay? I mean, I literally was sitting on my couch and sweat was pouring down as I'm, training and coaching and, serving those that participated in our July Goals to Riches Challenge. Silver lining. You were so beautifully accepting, receptive, understanding, compassionate about my situation. And it wasn't only me that was learning this. It was anyone that went online, even professionally, to do their work. And so the lighting wasn't great, or the sweating was going on, or the dog or the kids were screaming and yelling, or, people were walking in behind you, as you're teaching or whatever you were doing. And for me, I found the same. I found that even though I was sitting there, sweating and putting on, a great face, even though it was like 95, in my house at the time, you were just so understanding and so kind about it. And I just really learned a great deal about not only myself and about you, but also about humanity, also about just we were all dealing with the same stuff. How often does that happen? That every human being on this earth has been dealing with the same crap and the same junk, or the same blessings and silver lining. And so when ever again in our lifetime, let's hope and pray that we'll ever have that opportunity for all of us to be human, for all of us to be kind and compassionate and understanding and patient. And that was probably my biggest lesson. And a silver lining that you can find as well is the humanity of people. Now, forget about all the hate speak on social media, but, and all the ugliness that comes out in trying times like this. But find the silver lining. Find the silver lining, because it's out there. It's those people that are reaching out, that are caring, that are lending even if it's a voice, let alone, financial support or a roof for over your head, or whatever the case might be. There's tons of silver linings out there. And I certainly had to sit back and really make note and be very considerate of what I was struggling with, but what I was also getting very, very, very blessed with. Now, I wasn't struggling with a lot, but then I know I passed May, but then May had come and gone, and that's my yearly beach trip with my 5 sisters, and obviously it wasn't going to happen. But it had gotten pushed off to November. We didn't cancel it. We weren't able to without losing our money. So we pushed it off into November. Well, silver lining. I now had something to look forward to as the year, went on. And the hard work I was doing, and the lack of electricity I was dealing with, and, some of the frustrations. Now, of course, we were all at home. We were all isolated. Silver linings. I got to know my local restaurants and the local folks at the grocery store, and even the local first responders, whether that be nurses or policemen or firefighters, because I then became very aware that they needed my help and everyone else's help. So silver lining was I made sure that I did give back by, taking out at restaurants. And, therefore I was able to get to know them as I would show up at their place like every couple of weeks or whatever the case might be. We all certainly felt for nurses and doctors and firemen who was also dealing with fires out west, and policemen, even in the hardships of all of that chaos. But at least my silver lining was I just slowed down and ensured that I said thank you, or I said hello, or I just, shared a kind word to let them know that, even though all hell's breaking loose, I appreciate them. And I know many of you have done the same. I know many, many, many of you have done the same. So I also so November comes along, and November, brought the beach trip with my sisters. Now, not a struggle, a frustration, I guess, or aggravation maybe, is, it was C testing and C testing and C testing over and over and over again, before, during, and after, which silver lining was I learned to really appreciate and be considerate of ensuring that I am not going to add or contribute to someone else getting sick. So every one of us, there was obviously 6 of us, every one of us were ensuring that we got tested before, during, and after to ensure that we're not, kind of jeopardizing anyone's health. And then while we were on our beach trip, consider Ocean City, New Jersey in November. It's not crowded. It actually was beautiful considering it was November. The temperatures were actually beautiful. So, we didn't eat out. Obviously, we didn't eat out. We didn't really go out. We didn't go to the boardwalk like we normally would. The fair wasn't there that would normally be there in May. So silver lining is that we had a lot of quality time together and quality time doing new things like painting. I shared with you, my one sister brought down a bunch of canvases for all of us, and we sat down and spent the day painting. And it was wonderful. It was fabulous. Silver lining. I came home and bought a painting set. So there's so much we can be really appreciating out of all the craziness and the chaos that this past year may have brought into our lives. So I just want to, influence you or stress to you that make a commitment to yourself that you're going to look back and want to find all the silver that filled this year amongst all the other junk. But there were things that were going on, things that happened, things that you grew or you learned. I learned a great deal about myself. I learned a great deal about the fact that I can actually be calm and patient and considerate. Because normally I'm like, and I'm just like running around and I'm like the Energizer Bunny. And it takes a lot for me to just, so another silver lining was I got some reading done. That I typically don't do because if I want to do something creative, so to speak, I write. So I got reading done. And The Power of Now, by Eckhart something. I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm sorry. Eckhart Tolle. The Power of Now, brought me so much joy this past year and really kind of grounded me. Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. It's a daily devotional, combination of scriptures and her writing to support the scriptures. I live with it. Actually, it's right here. I live with it. My journal. I lived with journaling. These were my silver linings this past year, is finding, new things about myself that have just, been there, but I just learned to shift and adjust and change and transform. And I'm sure you have as well. So I would just ask that you take some time over the next several days as you're maybe winding down, taking time off, spending with friends and family, minimal, safe. But just really look back and appreciate the other things that you might not be paying attention to, you might not be acknowledging right now, and allow those things to kind of be bulge of your silver lining, because they are there. They are there. And then use them to move forward, putting all the junk and the chaos and what we call bitches here in the Shedding the Bitch community, put it behind you and move into the new year with just a whole new outlook and appreciation of the trying times and the really blessed times. All right? And I want to wish every one of you a Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. We will talk next week, so I won't wish you a Happy New Year just yet. And for whatever you might be celebrating these coming days, I just hope it's a blessed and beautiful one and a rich one for you. And next week, we're going to be talking about assessing your success in 2020. So come back next Tuesday at noon Eastern Time for another episode of Shedding the Bitch Radio. All right, everybody, have a great one. Bye.